Hello. So I had a CPU laying around, like a spare one. It was the 12th gen i3 12100 non-K CPU. And I thought, well, what the heck? Why having like a $100 CPU or $200 CPU just laying around? So I put together this little thing here, and I actually had, besides the CPU, I also had 64 gigabyte of RAM laying around. Same thing with this NVMe from Samsung. It have the heat spreader or cooler built onto it, and that's why it's connected to this port down here. Otherwise it would be underneath this cooler here. I think this one is connected directly to CPU, and this one is connected to the chipset. Both of these are PCI Express 4, and both have 4 lanes, of course. So I should get the full speed of this. So I had the CPU, the memory, this one laying around collecting dust. This CPU cooler I used to have on my retro PC. That old CPU, it's the Q6600. The problem was that it said on the website that this cooler supported socket 775, which the Q6600 use, but no, it doesn't support socket 775. So I did a special modification, so I didn't use the bottom bracket for this. So I just used this part here on the sides, and instead of these screws here, I used zip ties going through the holes in the motherboard. But right now I took it off the retro PC because the retro PC was starting to have a lot of issues with the RAM. It has DDR2 RAM, and you know, when you first power on the computer, it will show like what CPU you have and also the amount of RAM, and the RAM shows up directly. But it was like the old computer, really old computers, when it's counting the RAM you have. And it was starting to do that with all the 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it took like 5 minutes for it to count all the RAM. And it's starting to do this every time I was starting booting the computer. So I decided, well, it's time to retire the retro PC. So I just took off this cooler from the retro PC and I mounted it over here. And it's a Cooler Master CPU or cooler. So yeah, I decided, since I got all these parts laying around, the only thing that was missing was the motherboard. So I got this micro ATX motherboard from ASUS. It's the B760M-A Wi-Fi D4. It's a prime B. It's a prime as well. You can see it says over here. It's the same. It's identical motherboard as I have in my secondary PC. So yeah, doesn't really have that much of connectivity. Let's see. Yeah, it's got HDMI and DisplayPort, and this CPU have built-in graphics, so I might use this. Actually got 2 HDMI. Okay, nice. Yeah, and then it got like a couple of USB 2 here, USB 2 here, USB 3 over here, and then you still have this PS2 connector for keyboard and mouse, and it's double color, so either you use a keyboard or a mouse. And I actually have an old PS2 keyboard, and you can actually power on the computer by pressing a key combination on the keyboard. I usually select the Control Escape, so it's like Control and then Escape to power it on. So yeah, it got built-in 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, also Wi-Fi. I don't use Wi-Fi, so I just disable that in the BIOS. And then you got the regular audio stuff. It doesn't have any digital output, but I'm not going to use this anyway. Yeah. So, what else does it have? Well, 3 PCI Express connectors. They are the size of them are all X16, but it's only the top one here that is wired X16. I don't know if you can see it, but this middle one here is an X1 sort of slot. I can see that it's the wire is going just right here. So this is basically an X1 slot, and this one is an X4 slot. So yeah, it's 16, 1, and 4. And then you got the 2 M.2 slots. Yeah, and then it have the chipset over there. And then it got 4 SATA ports, and the position of them is kind of weird. You got the 2 down here, and then you got 2 over here. So why couldn't they just move this little contact here further in and have all the SATA ports over here? But no, you have 2 over here and 2 over here. So it's a little bit weird. And yeah, it has some USB 3 headers over here for the front panel and stuff. This is USB-C for the front panel. And then of course the 24 power pin. And then I got my 64 gig of RAM. They are 16 gigabyte each. And these are regular DDR4 2133 memories. Standard memory basically. Some RGB headers. I don't use RGB. And what else do we have at the top? Well, here's for the CPU cooler. Both of these are for the CPU. The first one is the regular CPU, the fan. And the second one is an optional. So if you have 2 fans on the cooler, one will be the primary. I only have 1 fan on this cooler, so I only used one of these headers. And then of course we have the CPU power connector over there, and the coolers for the VRM and stuff. Yeah, this motherboard is actually quite nice. The only downside is that the chassis, the fan headers, they are only 2 of them. One is right over there at the power connector there, the 24 pin. And the second one is right over here. So this will be basically for the back fan and 1 front fan or whatever. So yeah, I don't think it even has a specific header for the water pump or anything. I don't think so, no. I don't use water cooling anyway, so yeah, so right now I don't really know what to do with this motherboard. I have it loose like this because I haven't put it in a case. right now, if I put it like this, so on the back here you can see, I would like to see this distance thingies, distance screws. They normally sit in a case, so I took it off because I might have this little motherboard as a sort of testing motherboard. So I just might have it like on a desk like this, and just like open air stuff. Then I was thinking, well, I might actually get one of those, what's it called, the testing cases. It's not really a case, it's just two boards, one bottom and one top, and you put the motherboard on the top, and then you have the power supply and the drives on the bottom, and then you put the cables like a bend on top. So I might just get one of those cases, the test bed cases, and have it like an open case, so I can just easy swap things here and there. And I might actually run some kind of Linux server on this as well. And yeah, I'll have it like maybe as a Minecraft server or whatever. So yeah, we'll see. So if you're curious, or you can give me a suggestion what to do with this little thing. No, I'm not going to run Proxmox on it because I already got a different machine running Proxmox, so I'm not going to have a second one because I don't need a second one. So I want this to have it like a testing stuff. So yeah, catch you later.